right, so let's finish up number 8, because we had 11 divided by the square root of 185, but we have to rationalize the denominator. So we multiply by the square root of 185 over the square root of 185, which is really just a giant number 1. So we get 11 times the square root of 185 all over 185. And that's my final answer. Great. Number 9 we get to skip. Let's go on to number 10. We're asked to find the value of x. Notice that we have side angle side, and this is the angle with the side across from it. So we can use law of cosines, and we get x squared equals 40 squared plus 70 squared minus 2 times 40 times 70 times the cosine of 32 degrees. There are no variables here, so we can type all of this into our calculator. So I've got 40 squared plus 70 squared minus 2 times 40 times 70 cosine of 32. And then I'm going to take the square root. Because it's the length of a side, I don't need to worry about plus or minus. I get 41.844. Oh, yeah, nearest thousand. Here I've got side, 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 and I'm looking for angle A, which is across from 40. With side, 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 I also have to use law of cosines. So I'm going to have 40 squared equals 20 squared plus 30 squared minus 2 times 20 times 30 times the cosine of A. So this is going to be 1600 equals 20 squared plus 30 squared. So I get 1300 minus 2 times 20 times 30, 1200 cosine of A. Now I can't get these together because this is attached to the cosine of A, so I've got to subtract 1300 from each side, and I get 300 equals negative 1200 cosine of A. Divide those sides by negative 1200. So 300 divided by negative 1200 is negative 0.25 equals cosine of A. So inverse cosine of negative 0.25, and I get that A equals 104.48 degrees. Next problem, number 12. Given this picture, I'm asked to find the distance from A to B, which means I'm going to need to find this side and this side. Let's focus on this triangle first. This is 42 and this is 50, so I can find this angle here. 42 plus 50. All triangles are 180 degrees, so this angle is 88 degrees. I know, another highlighter color here, 42 and 500. I need this yellow side, so I'm going to need that. I'm going to use law of sines. Sine of 42 degrees divided by 500 equals sine of 88 degrees divided by x. Notice this 650 I can't do anything with. I don't know that it's divided in half. It doesn't say that. So I don't know what this side is, and I don't really care. I don't need it. I need this side. So I'm going to cross multiply and get 500 times the sine of 88 degrees equals x times the sine of 42 degrees. Divide both sides by the sine of 42. And let's see what x equals. So got 500 times the sine of 88 divided by the sine of 42, 746.783. I know that this side is 746.783. Now I need to find this side, right? These are vertical angles, so this must also be 42 degrees, and that's 48. 42 plus 48 is 90, which makes this 90 degrees. Now I can tell you on the test, none of these angles are going to come out to 90. So we're going to continue to use law of sines. We know this, and we need this because we're looking for this side right here. So I'm going to use sine of 42 degrees divided by 205 equals sine of 90 divided by x. So I've got 205 times the sine of 90 equals x times the sine of 42. Divide both sides by the sine of 42. Let's see. 205 times the sine of 90 divided by the sine of 42. And I get 306.368. So this is 306.368. And it asks for the distance between A and B. So I'm going to take these two answers here and I'm going to add them. I'm going to take 746.783 and add to that 306.368. So, let's say I'll put it right here. 306.368 plus 746.783, and I get 1053.151. Let's solve this. In positive radians, let's see. So I need to solve this equation, subtract 2 from each side. So that means sine of x equals 0.384. Now since sine is positive, I'm going to want an answer here, and I'm going to want an answer here. So I'm going to want both of these answers, because sine is positive in these two quadrants. So I'm going to take the inverse. Let's see what I get. This is radians, which means I need to change the mode on my calculator. Inverse sine 0.384, and I get 0.394. Which means this right here is 0.394. But I also need this one, and this one is pi minus. Remember, this is 0.394, which makes this 0.394. And it's headed this direction, so it's going to be pi minus 0.394. Pi minus 0.394, and I get 2.748. 2.748, I'll write that here, pi minus 0.394 is 2.748. Those are my two answers. So we get to skip 14, we get to skip 15, 16, and 17. This whole page gets skipped. Now we're asked to draw a sketch of the inverse cosine. So for inverse cosine, I remember that inverse cosine is in quadrants 1 and 2. Everything is above, and it goes from -1 to 1. It's that curve that kind of looks like that, from there to there. Inverse sine, again, -1 to 1. And my curve, there we go, like that. It's just a sketch is all I'm looking for. And remember, this is -π/2. And this is π/2. And this is 0, and this goes to pi. And then inverse tangent, again, π/2 and -π/2. I have -1 and 1. I have my asymptotes, remember, at the π/2's. And then my curve goes like this. So then looking at these graphs state the domain and range. Well, the domain for inverse cosine is -1 to 1. And the range is from 0 to pi. Or you could use inequality notation, where you'd say x is between 1 and -1, y is between pi and 0. For inverse sine, the domain, let's see, domain is again -1 to 1. Let's do it this way. And the range goes from -π/2 to pi/2. For a tangent, my domain is all reals. You can look at that graph and see that in both directions for x, it goes forever and ever in both directions. For the range, it goes from -π/2 to pi/2. But notice I didn't put the equal signs because there's asymptotes there. And then 20 and 21, we're skipping. And we've got 22 left. So I'm going to need to solve. First I have to set this equal to 0. So I subtracted 1 from each side. Now I'm going to substitute and let x equal cosine of x, and rewrite this as 2x squared minus x minus 1 equals 0. Now I'm going to factor. Only way to get 2x squared is 2x and x. The only way to get 1 is 1 and 1. Gonna just, because this is negative, I'm gonna have to have a positive and a negative, but I gotta see if I put them in the right place. So I check my outer term is -2x, because 2x times -1. My inner term is +1x, which gives me -1x, which is what I wanted. So this is my correct factoring. Substitute back in the cosine of x, so I get 2 cosine of x plus 1, and cosine of x minus 1. Set each factor equal to 0. Now solve. Subtract 1. Divide by 2. And then x is going to be the inverse cosine of -1/2. And we'll finish in the next video.